So magandang umaga, magandang hapon po sa ating lahat. My name is Engineer Jessol M. Salvo. I'm a Senior Science Research Specialist at the Natural Gas Management Division po ng Department of Energy. So for the next 15 to 20 minutes, I'll be discussing on the basics of natural gas 101 and a little on the economic aspects for this IEC campaign of ours. Okay, if you'll just spare me a few seconds of your time, I'll just set up my my PowerPoint. Ito lang po. Yan, okay. Okay, so magandang umaga po, magandang hapon po muli sa ating lahat. So this will be a 15 to 20 minute slide. So I'll just be discussing the technical or the basics of natural gas for our appreciation purposes. Okay, so yung pong ating discussion will be divided into around 4 parts or 5 parts rather. So first discussion is ano ba yung natural gas? What is natural gas? What are the uses of this natural gas? How do we transfer and store natural gas? And let's do a little comparison on LNG or natural gas versus LPG to make the discussion more interesting. And let's do a little cost comparison para mas maganda po yung ating appreciation. And then I'll just discuss yung taxation po ng imported LNG in passing po at the end of the presentation. Okay? So ano po ba yung natural gas? What is natural gas pa? So it's one of the 3 major fossil fuels. So alam po natin yung the solid fuel is coal, yung pong liquid type of fossil fuel is oil, and the gaseous type is natural gas. So natural gas, it's just basically methane po, it's CH4. So pag minayin po siya sa ilalim ng lupa, you get mostly methane, which is CH4. Kaya lang may mga kasama siya minsang mga inert elements like carbon dioxide, nitrogen, hydrogen sulfide, and so on and so forth. So it's among the 3 fossil fuels, it's the cleanest and safest and most useful among the fossil fuels. And it has been dubbed as the fuel of the future po sa mga discussions. Papakita ko lang po, or I'll just show you the diagram of what is natural gas. So basically, methane po siya. It's 70 to 90% methane. So there are some wells in Alaska, for example, na the methane content is almost up to 100% for FYI lang po. And then around 5 to 15% is ethane. So yan po yung C2H6. So yung mga less, around 5% or less, it's propane and butane. Yung pong propane and butane, this is basically LPG. Ito po yung ginagamit natin sa pangluto. And then the remainder of the balance, ito po yung mga inerts na sinasabi ko kanina, which is carbon dioxide, nitrogen, hydrogen sulfide, and so on and so forth po. Okay? So it's a safe fuel. So just for demonstration purposes, alam po natin yung fire triangle. In order to produce fire, we need 3 components. Kailangan natin ng fuel, kailangan po natin ng oxygen, and we need heat. So to take out fire, just take out one of these elements and mapapatay na po natin yung apoy. So I'll discuss later on ano pong significance na. Okay? So natural gas is a safe fuel. Una po sa lahat kasi yung flammability niya ay very narrow. So ibig sabihin po ng flammability limit, ito, sa methane is 5 to 15%. So it means that your air and fuel mixture, it has to be 5% to 15% fuel. So yung methane content po dapat 5 to 15%. So if yung fuel mo is more than 15%, your mixture will not burn. So if you have less than 5%, your mixture will not burn. So yun po yung ibig sabihin nun, okay? It will only burn if the composition is within the flammability limit. Yan, okay. So ito po example ng drawing. Kung meron kayong ethylene oxide, yung pong flammability niyan sa kahit anong mixture ay flammable po yan. Okay? So no smoking po pag may mga ganyang tangke. Okay? So yung methane po sinasabi natin kanina, it's 5 to 15% somewhere here. Kailangan nyo ng volume ng methane sa air, 5 to 15%, in order for it to combust. Yung pong carbon monoxide is around 10 to 80%. So FYI lang po ito. Okay? Okay, the second characteristic ng natural gas is yung ignition point niya. So the lower the temperature, it's easier to burn. So yung ignition point is the temperature at which yung air tsaka vapor mixture will burn without a spark plug. So walang spark plug. Okay? So for the case of natural gas, mataas po yung ignition temperature niya, ignition point. It's around 537 degrees Celsius. unlike yung sa oil and coal and LPG, mas mababa siya doon. Okay? So it means natural gas is harder to burn because you'll need hotter air to burn it in case wala kang burner, wala kang spark plug. Okay? So yun po ibig sabihin yun. Among all the fossil fuels, natural gas is hardest to burn because yung maselan po yung air fuel mixture niya 5 to 15% at mataas yung kanyang ignition temperature, ignition point. Okay? So just for demonstration purposes, yan, boiling point, ang pangatlong discussion natin. Pakita lang natin po na at water freezes at 0, it boils at 100, and then gold melts at 1,000 degrees Celsius. Yung pong propane, which is form of LPG, nagiging liquid siya, it becomes liquid at negative 40 degrees Celsius. And then ethane, which is C2H6, becomes liquid at negative 90. Ito pong natural gas, it becomes liquid in form at negative 162 degrees Celsius. Yan. So, mamaya po we will discuss anong significance ng negative 162. Okay, for those who are studying science, negative 273 degrees Celsius is 0 degrees Kelvin. So that's absolute zero. That's the coldest temperature ever possible po in the universe. Okay. So, pangalawa po, so aside from being a safe fuel, natural gas is also the cleanest fuel because balik lang po tayo, may konting chemistry lesson lang po tayo. Ito yung fuel mo, CH4, so 1 carbon, 4 hydrogen atoms. So yan yung fuel mo. If you combine it with air, so yung pong ambient air is 79% nitrogen, 20 to 21% oxygen. So yung oxygen lang po ang nag-i-interact sa fuel to produce combustion. So you have fuel, you have air, kulang na lang po tayo sa fire triangle ng igniter o yung source of heat. So once natural gas combust with oxygen, the byproduct is carbon dioxide, CO2, and another byproduct is sinasabi nila pag nakita nila H2O ay tubig daw po. It's not water but it's water vapor or steam. So if you'll see, carbon dioxide is a greenhouse gas. Yes, it is a greenhouse gas. Ang advantage lang po kasi nito, you can convert carbon dioxide back into oxygen through photosynthesis. So ang katapat lang po nito ay magtanim ka ng maraming puno, the carbon dioxide can be converted back to oxygen. Okay? So yun po ibig sabihin niya. So just for demonstration purposes, yung natural gas, napakakonti ng mga particulates niyan compare mo sa oil at sa coal. O, yan. Okay. So, yan. So it's a clean fuel. Sinabi ka na natin. Ito, pakita ko lang po yung carbon chain. Ibig sabihin lang po nito, the higher you go up the carbon chain, the more pollution contribution you do to the atmosphere. Yung pong natural gas is C1 or CH4. So the carbon 1 lang po siya. So as you go up, katulad ng gasoline C8 to C11, kerosene C12 to C15, habang umaakit ka sa carbon chain, the more pollution contribution you do to the environment. So yung oil is there, yung coal is somewhere way up there. Yan, okay? For appreciation purpose lang po ito. Okay? So third, so sabi natin, it is clean, it is safe. Now, this is an efficient fuel. Bakit? Una po, yung natural gas kasi mataas ang heating value, yung tinatawag na calorific value sa engineering. Okay? So kung i-compare mo po yung calorific value or heating value ng gas, natural gas, between gasoline and then coal, mataas ang heating value or energy content niya if you compare them on a per kilo or per pound per mass basis. So it would be unfair to compare coal, let's say, a liter of coal, a liter of gasoline, and a liter of natural gas. Siyempre, mas marami pong mass content yung coal tsaka oil. So, to make it comparable, let's compare them apple to apple, pound for pound, kilo for kilo. So, yung natural gas po, mataas ang heating content niya. May bearing po mamaya yan sa discussion natin mamaya. Okay? Yan. So, in terms of efficiency, dahil mataas ang kanyang heating content, mataas po yung thermal efficiency niya, lalo na po pag gumagamit tayo ng combined cycle, which we will discuss later on. So yung standard oil o yung internal combustion engine, it's around 30 to 33% yung thermal efficiency. So yung natural gas using a combined cycle, we can raise the thermal efficiency up to 60%, which we will discuss later on. Okay? Ito na po yung application niya. what is the main use of natural gas in the Philippines? Unang-una po, it is for large power generation. So marami po tayong natural gas power plants dito sa Luzon grid. So ito po yung sample. Ito po yung diagram. So I'll just explain the diagram first. Ito pong diagram below, this is what we call a Brayton cycle sa engineering. So it's called an air cycle. Tapos yung pong pangalawang nandito sa taas, this is what we call a Rankine cycle. So this is what we call your steam cycle. Ito po yung standards na system na ginagamit sa mga coal-fired power plants. They use steam to produce energy to push the gas steam turbines. Okay? So yung combined cycle, ito pong combined, meron ka kasing Brayton dito, air cycle, at meron kang Rankine cycle dito sa taas. Okay? So once you take in air and you combine it with fuel, you burn it, yung pong air here pushes the turbine here, yung pong exhaust air na lalabas dito, sabi natin kanina, mataas ang heating value ng natural gas. So yung pong exhaust gas here still contains sufficient energy to run a Rankine cycle here. So sapat pa yung energy niya. So the amount of energy here is still high enough to provide energy to a steam cycle or a Rankine cycle here. So it's enough to produce steam from water. So itong steam dito, yan ang tutulak sa turbine to move another turbine, to move another generator. Kaya po mataas ang thermal efficiency because yung waste energy mo rito, magagamit mo pa to run another system or a Rankine cycle system. Okay? So pangalawa po, another application po nito is yung power generation pa rin, pero sa mga small scale, katulad po nung nasa Libertad, natural. This is 1 megawatt running on natural gas. Kaya lang po naubos na yung deposits niya. But so it's the point here. It's viable to run big power plants or even small power plants up to 1 megawatt. Okay. Another application of natural gas are for industrial heating applications sa mga steam turbines, sa mga furnaces, heaters, boilers, and so on and so forth. So yung mga standard boiler natin gumagamit ng HFO or diesel. So instead of using those fuels, you can use natural gas to fire for your burners. Ito katulad dito. Ang advantage po kasi nito is once you use natural gas, malinis siya. So wala ka ng carbon content ng mga residues na lilinisin. So yung annual maintenance mo is lesser. Unlike sa mga ordinary boilers, kailangan mo kasing i-shutdown yun, kailangan linisin mo yan kasi maraming carbon content na natitira dyan. Kailangan linis-linisin. Okay? Sa natural gas, wala ka kasing carbon content na natitira. So it's purely carbon dioxide and steam ang byproduct. Okay? Another application, ito po, it's residential heating. So much of many countries around the world use natural gas for cooking applications po. So if you go around the countries around Asia, yung mga neighbors po natin, karamihan po sa kanila ay gumagamit ng natural gas na pinoprovide ng isang franchise gas supplier. Okay? Also, if you go, let's say, Hong Kong, Japan, Korea, you go to Thailand, Indonesia, Malaysia, and all of these countries, ganun din po sa mga, sa United States, in the United States, in Canada, in Europe, in Russia. Yeah. So many of these countries use natural gas. Una po for cost and pangalawa is safety. Mamaya we will explain. Okay. Another use of natural gas is for transport. So you can use compressed natural gas to provide power para po dito sa mga CNG buses katulad nito. Mamaya papaliwanag ko po yung CNG, what is compressed natural gas, okay? Another application of natural gas is yung non-energy use, which is refrigeration kasi sabi nga natin kanina, negative 162 degrees Celsius, napakalamig niya. Pwede siyang gamitin pang refrigerate, especially sa Japan, yung mga nangisda, they can use LNG for refrigeration purposes ng mga nahuli nilang isda. Okay, so that's one of the applications. So another application, kaya lang non-energy na to is gas to new energy. Yung ginagawa pong ammonia, yung ginagawa pong DME, dimethyl ethyl, or mga fertilizer. Hindi din po natin di-discuss to because these are non-energy application. Dito din po tayo sa pangatlo. So how do we transport or store natural gas? Tatlong aspect lang po yan. Either you transfer it through pipes, through trucks, or through ships. So pag naka-pipeline po, ibig sabihin malapit lang yung source mo, yung well, or yung source, papunta dun sa mga customers mo, pipe gas. Pangalawa po is kung yung pagdi-deliveran mo ng natural gas is off-grid, wala siya sa pipeline network, at nasa bundok siya, for example, remote area sa Japan, they use CNG trucks to deliver these natural gas. Pangatlo po is LNG ships, mga barko. So if you're going to transfer natural gas from one country to another country, you're going to cross the seas, you have to use ships, LNG ships. Mamaya papaliwanag natin, okay? So ito po yung mga drawings, and for example, ito yung pipe gas, sinabi natin. Well, yung pag-private pipeline gas, siyempre pag nasa facility yan, nasa overhead yan, pero pag nasa loob, pag dumaan na po yun sa public places, siyempre, you have to bury it underground. Bakit? For safety purposes po yan. In case sumabog, sasabog lang siya sa ilalim ng lupa. So, ganun lang po yan. Okay? Pipe gas. Pipeline gas. Pangalawa, ito yung compressed natural gas. So, you compress gas to 1/100. Wala pa pala dito sa slide. Yan. So, ang pressure po nito is 3,000 to 4,000 PSI. So, imagine niyo po yung pressure ng gulong nyo. Excuse me. Yung pressure ng gulong nyo is 30 PSI. Ito 3,000. So, you can just imagine the amount of pressure dun sa CNG. So, 3,000, 4,000 PSI. And then yung volume is 1/100. Ibig sabihin, 100 cubic meters pinagkakasya sa isang cubic meter. Yan po. Yan. So, it can be a substitute for gasoline, for petrol, diesel, or propane. Katulad po ng mga CNG buses na to, which were running on CNG or compressed natural gas. Okay? Yan. So, pangalawa, ito po yung pangatlo, liquefied. You can transfer it through pipes, through trucks, through CNG. Pangatlo po yung LNG, sinasabi natin kanina. Ito po yung significance ng -162 degrees Celsius. Kasi, kapag kinul down mo siya sa -162, you're able to reduce the volume, yung 600 cubic meters, na pagkakasya mo sa isang cubic meter. So, kailangan po ito for ease of transport, lalo na pag you're going to transfer gas from one country to another through ships, you're going to need LNG ships para you can transfer more gas in more volumes. You have to reduce the temperature and cool it down to its liquid form para lumiit siya. Yung 600 cubic meters, pagkakasyahin sa isang cubic meter. Okay? So, ito na po. Nasa number 4 na po ako. Malapit. Well, we're almost done with our discussion. LNG versus LPG. Ano pong pinagkaiba nitong dalawang to? Pareho lang po siyang hydrocarbon. Yung natural gas is methane, CH4. Yung LPG na ginagamit natin for cooking, that's propane and butane, C3H8 and C4H10. Ano pong pinagkaiba? The main difference is here. Ito po, yung density niya. So yung density po ng natural gas, it's around 0.666, yung pure methane form, to around 0.8 yan. Ang density ng LPG is around 2, 2.6, 2.5. Ano po ang different? Ano pong ibig sabihin? Kasi yung pong weight ng standard air ng hangin natin is 1.24 kilograms per cubic meter. So ang natural gas ay mas magaang, it's lighter than air. So magkaroon ka ng gas leak sa bahay, your natural gas will simply evaporate upwards into the air because it is lighter than air. Unlike LPG, once nagkaroon ka ng leak, your LPG will not go up. So even if you open your window, your LPG leak will not go up, but it will rather go down to the floor. Okay? So yun po yung isang safety aspect. Bakit many countries are using natural gas, okay? For cooking, for safety purposes. Yan. Pakita lang po natin dito yung energy content niya. Sinabi natin kanina, mas mataas. At yung pong weight ng natural gas is mas magaang. 0.666 yung pure methane, yung density. Okay. So ito na po. I'm at my 5th. I'm almost done. So let's do a little comparison ng cost nila. So yung LNG kasi or natural gas, it's around 1/3 the cost of LPG sa world market. Kung ang cost mo ginawa ko lang pong per kilo para mas maintindihan kasi we buy LPG per 11 kilograms ganyan. So para mas maintindihan natin, so ginanito ko na lang. So rule of thumb, LNG is around 1/2 or even 1/3 the price of LPG. So yun po yung lagi rule of thumb niya pag bumibili ng ano. So that's another reason why many countries use natural gas for cooking kasi mas mura talaga siya. Okay? Ito po para lang ma-demonstrate natin na yung kuryente ginagamit natin. So this entire graph is the total electricity cost. Yung pong kalahati ng bill natin na binabayaran, that is generation cost. And 60 to 80% of that is fuel cost, 60 to 80%. Okay? So ang point dito, if we can bring down the cost of the fuel, we can bring down prices of electricity. Okay? So yung pong 10% ng ating electricity cost is transmission cost. Yung 20% nito ay binabayaran natin sa Meralco or sa distributor. Distribution cost is 20%. Ang tanong po, ano po pa itong nandito? So this is generation, this is transmission, this is distribution. What is that? Yan po mga kaibigan, these are system losses, taxes, and other charges. So yan po yung binabayaran natin sa bill. You can look at the Meralco website. They will show it to you in numbers, but I just broke it down para mas madaling maintindihan. Okay? FYI lang po ito. Ito na po. Cost comparison na tayo. Sa power generation, ayan. So, gumawa lang po ako ng simulation. So, nung pong 2018, before the pandemic, kung meron tayong LNG noon, we should have been paying 3 pesos per kilowatt hour. If yung fuel source ng fuel natin ay imported LNG. Yung malampayan noon is 4.6. Nung April 2020 is 4.7. So ito pa yung prices ng coal, 5. Ito naging 4. Yung diesel noon, mahal. Nagmura ng konti dito. Renewables, 4.9, 4.6. While imported LNG, lalo na dito, kasi dito yung time na nagkaroon na ng pandemic, bumagsak po ng gusto ang price ng LNG noon. At around 1 peso 45 per kilowatt hour. So napakamura po during that time. So ibang usapan na po ngayon yan. Okay? So this is just for appreciation purposes. Now, if we can bring down the price of fuel, we can bring down the price of electricity. Yan. Ito po para ma-appreciate natin. So I just compare the prices of natural gas, yung ginagamit natin na diesel at gasoline. So kinonvert ko na lang po siya per kilo. Para mas apple to apple ang comparison. Kasi hindi pwedeng 1 litro ng gasoline, 1 litro ng diesel at 1 litro ng gas. Siyempre lugi po si gas dahil mas konti ang mass content niya sa 1 litro. So compare it apple to apple, pound per pound, kilo per kilo. Natural gas is around 9.8 per kilo. Diesel is around 46, around that figure, and gasoline is around 68. So figure, mas mura po ang cost ng natural gas. Okay? Kung gagamitin mo siya pang CNG. Yan. Ito na po ako. I'm almost done with my slide. So yung sa taxes purposes po, we've consulted BOI and BIR. So customs duty, wala po siyang tax. Excise, wala po siyang tax. But yung value added tax, meron po pa rin siyang 12%. So that's the taxation for imported LNG. So I'm at the end of my slide. So why do we promote natural gas? As I said earlier, it's safe. It is efficient, it is clean, it is versatile. Ibig sabihin, marami po siyang uses, katulad kanina, power generation, industrial, residential, transport, so on and so forth. And of course, it is cheaper than oil po, kasi around 1/2 to 1/3 of price. Okay? So I think I'm done with my presentation, and thank you very much for listening to my short presentation. I hope you learned something. If you have questions, we can answer. You can ask those questions during the Q&A. Maraming salamat po and have a wonderful day. Maraming salamat. Thank you.